Welcome back to HMMSA Reads. I'm Julie Zucker, the Outreach and Engagement Director for the Jewish Federation of San Antonio, and the Holocaust Memorial Museum is a program of the Federation. Today I'm back with a book recommendation for upper elementary, 4th to 5th, and up through middle school level. This book is called The Grand Mosque of Paris, A Story of How Muslims Rescued Jews During the Holocaust by Karen Gray Ruelle and Deborah Durland Desaix. I am sharing this today because I would love to highlight a story about how there are people of all cultures willing to help other people of all cultures. We all have a lot more in common than we have different. From 1940 to 1944, during the Nazi occupation of Paris, no Jew was safe from arrest and deportation to a concentration camp. Few Parisians were willing to risk their lives to help them. Yet, during that perilous time, many Jews found refuge in an unlikely place, the sprawling complex of the Grand Mosque of Paris. Not just a place of worship, but a community center with gardens, apartments, a clinic, a library, and even a restaurant. This hive of activity was an ideal temporary hiding place for escaped prisoners of war and Jews of all ages, including children. Karen Gray Ruelle and Deborah Durland Desaix tell the almost unknown story of the resistance staged by the Kabyles and the people of the Grand Mosque, and how their courage, faith, and devotion to justice saved the lives of so many. An incredible story about this. Here, it's a beautifully illustrated book. You can see some of the soldiers in Paris, and you see how worried people are about being arrested. And here you have people waiting in line for bread. It's a very difficult time. Some people did try to protect. There were absolutely rescuers in Paris, but it was really difficult because your life was at risk if you were rescuing someone who was in trouble. So here's a picture of the Grand Mosque. Beautiful drawings. And I want to read a little bit about this emergency button that they had. Oh, look at this, first of all. This is absolutely beautiful, that tile work that's in a traditional mosque. By the time of the Nazi occupation, nearly all of Paris's Muslims were Kabyles, Berbers, and Kabylia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Up in the high and forbidding Atlas Mountains of Algeria. After France lost many young men in the First World War, workers from Kabylia came to take their places in the factories and on construction sites. In fact, Kabyle laborers built the Paris subways. These men sent their earnings to the families they'd had to leave behind in Algeria and returned to visit them when they could. Between the two world wars, Kabyle Muslims became part of the fabric of France. Sounds like a typical immigration story to me. In the summer of 1942, arrests of Jews in France escalated. The largest roundup of all occurred in Paris in July when the Vichy police arrested almost 13,000 Jews or more. Now this is a beautiful illustration of the secretive operation that they had. They would bring people in and they had a basement area. It says in the sub-basement of the mosque, there was a cramped stairway leading down into a maze of tunnels. Centuries before, as Paris was built, stone was quarried beneath the city to construct its magnificent buildings. And that's where they were able to hide people. There are actually a lot of tunnels and mazes under the city of Paris called the catacombs. And there are other books that are great to read about that. Here's a picture of the gardens. Isn't it gorgeous? They had a special emergency button that they could press to set off an alarm in case police would come. And that's one way that they were able to save the Jewish people. So I highly recommend this story, The Grand Mosque of Paris, a story of how Muslims rescued Jews during the Holocaust and helped create a little bit more peace on earth and a little bit more harmony. Please join us next time for HMMSA Reads.